I'm Avery Davidson.
And I'm Kristen Oakes White. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week. This week we're looking back at some of the big stories we covered in 2020. And Avery, as you know, there was a lot of ground to cover.
It was like we put 10 years worth of stuff into a single year in 2020, starting with the plexiglass that's separating you and I, the Pinnacle Award won by the Louisiana Farm Bureau Federation at the American Farm Bureau Convention. You were there.
I was there.
And then Carl, Neil, and I, we went to Japan and Thailand. But you're not going to see any of those stories because it wasn't the big news. We had COVID-19, we had hurricanes, we had other disasters, and it's just been a crazy year. But probably the biggest news out of the Louisiana Farm Bureau this year was the retirement of Ronnie Anderson after 31 years as president of the organization.
In June, during a very unconventional convention, Rapides Parish sugarcane, soybean, rice, and crawfish farmer Jim Harper was elected president. This summer, Twila's Neil Melanson traveled to Cheneyville to check in on Harper's crops and introduce us to the new president.
Jim Harper is checking on his beans at his farm here in Cheneyville. It's a critical growing time for them.
Most of the pods have been set. All we need now is a couple of more good rains, and this crop will be made.
It's a critical time for the organization he represents as well. Harper is the newly elected president of the Louisiana Farm Bureau, which is the state's largest general farm organization. As I talked with him at his 9,000-acre farm in South Rapides Parish, it's clear that his leadership skills started in the soil.
I give a lot of credit to my success from my father. He was a big believer in, making the most economical crop you could, but not affect the yield. And that's what we try to do on our farm. We watch every penny, and that's what you have to do now to stay in business.
Jim's wife, Debbie, remembers a time when things weren't always as easy.
A rude awakening. We raised cotton in the very beginning and almost went broke raising cotton. Then he got into the soybeans.
Family is evident on the farm here near Alexandria, as both Jim's brother and children are involved in the operation.
Since I was a child, I knew I wanted to be a farmer. I was born on a farm. My father was a farmer. I used to follow him around when I was a kid. I worked on the farm all during high school, after school, on the weekends and the summer. And when I got through with high school, I talked to my father about farming and coming back to the family farm. And he said, son, that would be fine, but first you have to go to college. So I went to LSU, I got a degree in ag business, and I came back home and started farming with my father. He retired a few years after that, and me and my brother Ross have been building the farm ever since then.
One thing making things easier for Harper is the role Ronnie Anderson played in shaping Farm Bureau. While he says he has big shoes to fill, Harper says the organization's track record under his predecessor is a great help.
Under his leadership, we more than doubled our membership because of him and the professionals he hired. We became a strong political force in the legislature.
In addition to soybeans, rice and crawfish are integral to the farm. And while the cotton may not be around anymore, the sugarcane is helping the farm grow.
The thing that I like best about the sugarcane industry, besides the great people that you get to meet and talk with, is cane is a stable crop. It's not affected as bad by the weather.
In 2 years, Farm Bureau will celebrate 100 years as an organization. With his strong roots in agriculture, Jim Harper seems ready to grow until then and beyond. Reporting from Cheneyville, I'm Neil Melanson.
Between leading the organization, a global pandemic, and his own farm duties, Harper has been a busy man, but is taking the new role in stride and leading well. And for that, we're all thankful. One more thing to add to Harper's plate was this year's unprecedented hurricane season. 5 storms made landfall in Louisiana, beginning with Tropical Storm Cristobal in June.
Hurricane Laura made landfall as a Category 4 storm at the end of August, devastating coastal Louisiana, bringing ruin to both rural and urban areas. Water splashes with each step these cattle take. In the distance behind them, you see a home damaged by wind. This one shot shows you what Hurricane Laura brought to Cameron Parish: water and wind. but it does not tell the whole story. For that, you need a lifelong resident.
I'm glad this picture made it.
Like Cameron Parish Farm Bureau President James Bozo Cox.
J.W. Carter Rice Plantation. That was back whenever rice first came here. And you can see, looking at this just down here in this area, there's no trees.
This is where Cox's mother's home used to be. He just spent $20,000 converting it into an office.
You know, it was built plenty to code. And we come here and you see it.
There's nothing there to see because Laura's wind swept it away. You see where that wood is on the floor?
That was the wall. The door was over there.
Nearly nothing Cox has is where it's supposed to be, except his cattle.
This land right here, we're 21 foot above sea level.
He moved them here the Sunday before Hurricane Laura made landfall. Cox remembers that this land did not flood 15 years ago for Hurricane Rita.
And if this ridge goes underwater here, you can kiss Lake Charles and DeQuincy goodbye.
In the dry days before Laura's landfall, Cox cut and baled as much hay as he could.
We put it in this hay barn here that was in back of me because we just started putting hay in it, and we figured that was going to be a good place for it. All filled tubing with a roof where wind could get underneath the hay. Everything's great. Well, we was wrong.
This is what's left. You can see where that oil field pipe collapsed.
We got the 2 tractors out this morning. My wife's car's still in there. I got to cut it out. My backhoe's in there and another trailer. You know, it's just, it hit us with some stuff that we was not expecting.
Cox knows the only way to stay in agriculture in southwestern Louisiana is to learn from each storm.
Take good notes of what happened and what you could have done to lessen it, which we did for Rita, so that helped some. And if you don't want to do that, I hate to say it, pack your stuff and leave, because we are going to be continually facing with this. It's a challenge.
The Louisiana Farm Bureau Foundation Disaster Relief Fund paid for 2 semi-loads of protein tubs for cattle in those affected parishes. Bozo Cox tells me that helped more than 20 cattle ranchers in Cameron Parish alone. Now, as for rebuilding, Cox says workers are just now getting to repair his roof and that there's still debris in pastures all around Cameron and Calcasieu parishes. Still a tough time over there. Hurricane Delta made landfall just 13 miles east of where Hurricane Laura struck Cameron Parish. The community of Oak Grove took the brunt of both storms. The iconic scene of a helicopter landing pad on its side at a loading facility, well, that was a shot taken there.
It's also the home of the largest cattle producer in the parish, Leslie Griffith and his wife Peggy. Their home and more than 1,600 acres were devastated in the storm. But as Neil Melanson shows us, they found some hope in the ruins.
It's a quiet, sunny day here at the Lazy Acres Ranch in Welsh. Owner Leslie Griffith is talking with folks at the NRCS in Lake Charles about programs to keep the grass healthy here, as well as getting back on their feet after Hurricane Laura. Mac Parker, the district conservationist, says there's programs aimed at helping them do just that. Even an hour north of the coast here, there's signs of stress. One of Griffith's cows died from the stress and mosquitoes post-Laura. Still, he did manage to get most of his 190 head of cattle out of the way of the storm.
We'd bought this land here for right after Rita, and hauled the cows back after Rita had went through and tore everything up. I put a water well in. Well, I come 3 years later, but the water well stayed, and I had to redo my fences. Laura's come down in my 600-acre winter pasture where these cows would normally be going to this time of the year. I went there the other day. I had a brand new set of cow pens I built in February. They're completely gone. And also the water well that I put in is gone. So now, right now, we don't have any fresh water down home. Everything is old, nasty, salty, muddy water.
The story at his main ranch in Grand Chenier is much different. The main house was completely demolished in the storm, and its remains strewn about the 1,600 acres here. It's damage that will likely be around a long time, as history bears witness. Here you can see a divot in a tree that was there during Hurricane Audrey in 1957, when an 11-year-old Leslie rode out the storm with his family on their makeshift raft made from the roof of their house. In 2005, Rita demolished this area, and Griffith said they were just starting to recover from that storm. Mark Norman is a soil conservationist with the NRCS. He says the recovery in this area for the soil alone will take many months, if not years. Leslie and Mark share more than just an interest in soil health. Both are veterans of the United States Army, Leslie of the Vietnam War, Mark of the conflicts in Afghanistan and Iraq. Leslie shared the pain of losing his dog tags during Laura, something Mark understood well. Mark says everyone in southwest Louisiana is getting a taste of what war is like, the damage reminiscent of his time in the service.
This looks like Afghanistan. The people with all the wires down and, houses with the roofs ripped off, and then you have people walking around. I just felt like, a bomb went off. It looked like a bomb had gone off and just total devastation.
Still, there are signs of hope here. The once barren oaks of Oak Grove are starting to put out leaves, and among the rubble, another sign. As we were watching, Mark found something Leslie had thought lost.
Look, I carried these in Vietnam. My uncle gave me this. Y'all can read for yourself. It said, it's the alcoholic's deal one day at a time, you know what I mean? And it says, God grant me serenity to protect things I can't change.
While his voice was full of emotion at the discovery of those dog tags, it belies a strength in Leslie, a strength that has kept the Griffiths working this land for 200 years, and if he has anything to say about it, for 200 more and beyond.
And my address will be 1003 Oak Grove Highway, Ranchton, Louisiana, till I die, so I know that. So.
And we have a great update. Leslie Griffith told us that they have a camper set up on their property in Oak Grove. The school where Peggy teaches is back open, so she won't have a half-hour commute to and from their property in Welsh each day. We wish them and everyone in the wake of the storms this year a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and definitely a better New Year. Now for some good news about great farmers. In 2020, the Louisiana Farm Bureau named Philip Tomlinson of East Carroll Parish the Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award winner.
He and his wife Carrie farm 2,700 acres of grain in Lake Providence. They're also raising 4 wonderful children they hope will one day take up the family business.
Mornings start very early on the Tomlinson family farm in Lake Providence. Check the chickens, feed the sheep, oh, and harvest the corn crop for a sweet return. There's a certain art to picking sweet corn, as 6-year-old Weston Tomlinson points out.
You want it to be ready all the way to it.
It's a lesson he learned firsthand from his father, Philip.
The joy of it to me is having my kids out there in the sweet corn patch, because not only are they learning how to work hard, how to sweat, how to pick the big ears. Don't pick the little ones, pick the big ones. But we have picked ear after ear after ear and taken them and delivered them to friends and family. And so they're actually getting to see that we are really feeding the world. We're doing our part to feed the world and our part to give to others.
Between feeding the world and a new baby sister, the Tomlinson children are learning that farm life requires a lot of hard work, but also reaps some sweet rewards.
We just decided to start selling eggs to make a little bit of money. Because we can't eat 12 eggs a day, so.
They all get the money if they work and if they wash the eggs and do the whole thing. And we divide the money up, and 10% goes to their tithe, 10% goes in savings, and they can do whatever they want with the rest.
If these smiles are any indication, life is good here on the farm.
Yep.
It is a lifestyle that we love. We love that our children get to see that when you work hard, like there's fruit from that labor. And yes, there is inconsistency, but at the same time, there's a freedom with farming that we get to experience that if you were working a 9-to-5 tied to a desk all the time, that you wouldn't get to experience that.
In fact, it's the exact life that Philip says he's dreamed about for more than 30 years.
I mean, I'm living my dream, literally. I mean, I grew up on this farm as a kid, riding a 4-wheeler around, and I always wanted to farm. And it was, what can I do? Where can I go to school so that I can learn what I can to help me on the farm, but come back and farm?
Part of that dream means making this 4th-generation farm more efficient and profitable.
I saw the need that, we've got to change some things. If we're going to remain profitable going into the future, we've got to change some things. And so we moved to row fall irrigation. In farming, it's all about getting water on your crop, but getting it off is just as important or more important. The row fall irrigation is a lot more efficient. We use less water, we get it on faster, we get it off faster, and so therefore our yields have really gone up.
Philip is not only planning ahead for the next crop year, he's also building a better future for the next generation.
That's what it's all about for me. I said I'm living the dream, and I am living the dream, but there's always things that you want to add to your dream. And my dream would be for at least one of my kids to come back and farm. It wouldn't matter if it's my son Weston or any of my girls. If anybody wants to join this operation, they have got an open door, and we will make it work.
As winner of the 2020 Louisiana Farm Bureau Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award, Tomlinson received a $35,000 cash award from the Southern Farm Bureau Casualty Insurance Company, along with several other prizes. He will also represent Louisiana in the National Young Farmers and Ranchers Achievement Award competition, which will be held virtually at the American Farm Bureau Convention in January of 2021.
And we wish you the best of luck. We're proud of you, and we want you to represent us, but we're rooting for you really hard. Still to come on Twila, the much-needed boost we all need this year.
But first, we head to Independence, Louisiana to revisit a farmer who's growing the next generation of agriculture. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm John Fielder, and I'm the Vice President, Branch Manager of the Louisiana Land Bank Shreveport branch. In today's market, where interest rates are all-time low, it's very hard to find an investment that can compare to timber, something that's consistent, and typically if you manage timber correctly, it'll grow possibly as much as 6 to 8% or more. If you're looking for that loan for timber, for recreation property, for cattle, crops, call me, John Fielder at the Louisiana Land Bank.
Louisiana oysters, salty, sweet, and delicious. But have you ever thought about what happens to all those oyster shells? Most of them end up in trash cans and landfills. The Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana is changing this with its oyster shell recycling program. And you can help by visiting these participating restaurants. It's a simple and delicious way to restore our coast. The shells will then be used to sustain and rebuild oyster reefs. Remember, once you shuck them, don't just chuck them.
I'm a farmer.
I am a farm wife.
I am a cowboy.
I am a grass farmer.
I'm a businesswoman.
I'm a conservationist.
I am an advocate.
I am a voice for Louisiana farmers.
I'm always learning.
I'm a husband.
I'm a mom.
I am a dad.
I'm a granddad.
I am a consumer.
I grow the food that feeds your family, and I'm proud of it. I am Farm Bureau.
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 We are Farm Bureau.
Back in May, we traveled to the strawberry fields of Independence, Louisiana. At that time, we saw a huge selection of early spring vegetables.
We look back as Twila's Jennifer Finley introduces us to Frank Feckety, who's now bringing a variety of leafy greens and other winter crops to the Red Stick Farmers Market.
This is the heart of the Hungarian settlement. This is an area where the Hungarians settled about 1920, because Hungary was communism. So they wanted to get away from it. Families found out they had cut over land here, and they were hard workers, so they dug the stumps out and started raising strawberries. I mean, to grow real good strawberries, you got to put a lot of time and effort into it. You can't just go out there and plant them and let them go. You got to take care of them. They aggravate, and then they're expensive, real expensive to grow. I don't know, it gets in your blood, and then ain't many people know how to do this kind of stuff, you know. When you came down this road, it was all strawberry fields. And I think now there's about 5 in this parish, Livingston Parish. In the Tangipahoa, you got 7. So you got 12 farmers left. It used to be 200, 300 back in the day. Out here, it's all just little specialty crops for the market. You know, 3 rows of cucumbers. They planted 1 row of wax beans for them. Then we plant a few jalapenos. People at the market want it, so we grow it for them. Like the leeks, a lot of people were saying they wanted leeks, so we started growing leeks for them. I'm an agriculture teacher, 30 years. If this virus wouldn't have came in, I would be teaching them carpentry and safety. I mean, they learn a lot more if you've done it yourself and you show them how to do it, they learn a lot more, and they love it. If I was teaching, I'd be at school right now.
let's see, what's the day, Friday? I might would take off on Friday. But Jose runs a crew and he knows what to do. I mean, when I'm in school, they get it all done. I caught you a lizard too. I do that at school, I catch them, hook them on my ear. Sometimes they bite your ear and they hurt bad. I'll be at school and I'll catch one and the principal should be on the intercom. "Jet Dawn back there, you ain't doing nothing." I said, "Now I'm catching lizards." In the next 10, 15 years, it's gonna be a food shortage, I'm thinking. Tell these kids at school, I say, you see this virus is hitting the people, but what if happens if something hits the wheat crop, corn crop, all the vegetable crops? That's why you need to learn how to grow your own food. And they think about it. I'm always trying to get people to farm. They're scared of it. You might have to spend $200 here for seeds and fertilizer and drip pipe. And they say, well, I'm throwing $200 away. They can't see that $200 is like an investment at the bank. You put $200 in the bank at 0.01 interest, what you're gonna get, 20 cents? If you put $200 in the field and you plant this in corn, then you might make $1,000. But you can't be scared to gamble. Well, I just love it, and it's good exercise, and the money's good. And I try to tell those kids at school, I said, you working at McDonald's, $8 an hour, that's okay, but you got land there, won't you farm, and you can plant mustard greens, you can make $3,000, $4,000. You gotta have the love for it, just like you got the love for your job, right?
Fekete has been busy planting Louisiana strawberries for the spring and reports that, weather permitting, we should see them hitting the farmers markets in mid-March. Well, still to come on Twila, we share what is quite possibly the best story, our favorite story to come out of 2020.
We have a COVID-19 victory story, so stay with us.
Landowners are minding the Louisiana forest for our grandchildren. A place for wildlife, recreation, lumber for homes. It's the right thing to do. Forestry, covering half our state, all of our hearts.
It's a well-known fact that here in Louisiana, sugarcane is more than just a crop. It's a way of life. It creates more than 16,000 jobs across the state and an additional $3 billion boost to our state's economy. And Louisiana's cane families always give back to the communities where we live, work, and play. Louisiana sugarcane, making life sweeter, naturally.
Sugarcane, sweet sugarcane.
Yo, Scott.
Hey.
I'm heading out, man. You want to ride?
No, I got my car, but I actually really need to go to the bathroom.
Oh, you know what? I was just in there. The line is like 10 people long.
I think I'll just...
Dude, are you okay?
You wouldn't believe what I was just thinking. I am definitely buzzed.
Yeah.
I think I will take this, and I will take that ride home.
Smart man.
Did you see how that dog was looking at me?
Hey, Kristen, I have some good news. Really good news. 2020 is almost over.
Hallelujah.
And it's such a year full of so much bad news. So much. We're grateful for all of the uplifting stories we saw this year.
You're right, Avery. We saw students team up with teachers to sew face masks for healthcare workers. We saw farmers and ranchers donate food to hungry communities. And we saw neighbors helping neighbors through a host of natural disasters.
One of the best stories we shared all year long was retired Louisiana Farm Bureau President Ronnie Anderson's miraculous recovery from COVID-19. Anderson spent 78 days in the hospital battling this horrible virus.
But on Wednesday, June 3rd, he walked out of Promise Rehabilitation Hospital in Baton Rouge. greeted by a cheering crowd of friends and family.
This is the day we've been praying for, that Ronnie could leave the hospital. It's been quite a journey, quite the journey, I tell you. And as it turned out, he survived it. He is truly a survivor, and as people have said, he's a tiger at heart.
Ronnie's wife, Vivian Anderson, says she's grateful that Ronnie won his battle with COVID-19, but urges people to remain vigilant when it comes to this deadly disease.
It's a very, very serious illness. It's an illness that almost took his life, and for a few days there, we really weren't sure what would happen, and thankfully the text went out and the Farm Bureau people came to the rescue, as well as hundreds of other people with prayers. And when we said that Ronnie was very sick and he needed a miracle, he got a miracle. And I think Ronnie has come to realize now more than ever, you know, how short life can be and how it is, and that you need to make the best of every day. He tells me that all the time. We're going to do some things that we haven't been able to do because he wants to get back into the action of living.
Vivian says the Anderson family could not have survived this journey without the support of the Farm Bureau family.
We've just been overwhelmed and humbled with the love that we have been shown, not only by people we know, but hundreds of people that we don't know, but who the Farm Bureau family knows. It has been truly amazing to realize, even more so at this point in our lives, what the Farm Bureau family means. And it's a lot of love out there, just a lot of love.
I thank y'all so much. We couldn't find a better group of people anywhere. I love every one of you.
Love you too.
It's been quite a year for the Anderson family, but we're happy to say that Mr. Ronnie is getting stronger and better every day. He's enjoying his retirement on his farm and especially is happy to have more time with his family and probably more time with his horses too, if I had to guess.
Definitely.
Well, that does it for this edition of Twila and for another Twila broadcast year.
Over the next few weeks, we're going to bring you encore presentations of some of our favorite shows while we enjoy some time over the holidays with our families. While we were enjoying a little time with our families, please remember the farmers and ranchers who never get a day off regardless of the season.
That's absolutely right. For all of us here at Twila, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and we hope you have a joyous New Year.